The money involved in football has gone crazy over the last 5 or 10 years. Some of the transfer fees are absolutely outrageous. In this one, we're going to take a look at the top 3 most expensive players in each position and decide whether it was a hit or not. The fees that we're going to be talking about here are all in euros. They're from Transfermarkt, and we're starting off with goalkeepers. Believe it or not, the 3rd most expensive goalkeeper in football history to this day was from 2001-2002 season, Gianluigi Buffon to Juventus for 52.88 million euros. That is crazy that he is still in the top 3 from 2001. Was it a hit or not? Well, Buffon went on to become pretty much the best goalkeeper in football history, maybe. He's certainly top 3. He's certainly up there in the conversation to one of the best goalkeepers in the history of football. And he stayed at Juventus for years. So this one was actually well worth it, even in 2001. The 2nd most expensive goalkeeper in history for 72.5 million euros was Alisson to Liverpool. Now, this one was in more recent times than the Buffon one. However, it was still a number of years ago now. And was this worth it? Absolutely. The amount that Alisson won for Liverpool, he won a Champions League, he won a Premier League title, and it wasn't just what he won. He and Van Dijk absolutely transformed the defence of Liverpool in those times, so he was well worth that money. But the most expensive goalkeeper in football history was even more recent than Alisson. 80 million euros Chelsea paid for Kepa Arrizabalaga, and this one was definitely not a hit. He came in, he wasn't even first choice for probably most of his time as a Chelsea player. He certainly wasn't loved by fans. He didn't particularly perform to that level. He didn't really perform for even half of that transfer fee. So this one was definitely a miss from Chelsea. Okay, moving on to defenders now, and we're starting at right back. Number 2 and number 3 are players that were both bought by Manchester City, both Portuguese players as well. Now, number 3 wasn't originally bought as a right back. He was actually bought as a centre midfielder, and in the most recent seasons, Pep Guardiola has transitioned him into a right back. It is Matheus Nunes. 62 million euros Man City spent on him from Wolves, and he's actually been one of the more impressive right backs in the Premier League this season, despite that not being his natural position. But we've put him in right backs because that is where he is currently playing. As you'd expect, he's very good going forward, given he's got that midfield background, but he's actually been very, very impressive defensively this season too. So although Nunes might not have lived up to his price tag, I would say he's definitely still a hit. And number 2 is João Cancelo, who was purchased by Manchester City for 65 million euros. Now, he was a very, very attacking left back, currently playing for Barcelona on loan from a Saudi team. I would definitely say he is a hit. The amount that he won at Manchester City was really impressive, and there were a couple seasons where he was one of the best fullbacks in the world. But the most expensive right back ever is Hakimi, who was purchased by PSG for 68 million euros. Now, 68 million euros is by far the lowest, the cheapest of the positions we're going to look at today, to the point where even goalkeepers, even Kepa was 80 million. But Hakimi has definitely been a hit for PSG. Whether he's been worth 68 million or not, he probably has. They've won the Champions League in this time, and he has been absolutely brilliant. Still one of the best right backs in the world right now. On to left backs now, and Manchester City are involved again. The 3rd most expensive left back ever is Benjamin Mendy, who moved for 57.5 million euros. He was good in his time at Manchester City, but obviously isn't currently playing football. So for me, this one's a miss. I don't think they got enough out of him for the amount they paid. Number 2 now, and Chelsea spent 65 million euros on Marc Cucurella from Brighton. Now, is this one a hit or not? Well, at the beginning, when he first signed, everybody thought this was a massive miss. He didn't perform well in his first season or two, but now he's regarded as one of the best left backs in the Premier League and in the world. So he is definitely a hit now. But number 1 was Lucas Hernandez, who was bought by Bayern Munich from Atletico Madrid for 80 million euros. He spent 4 years in Munich, and he was never really a top defender. So I can't say he was ever worth the money that they paid for him. He's now at PSG, and he's still not a particularly first team starter for this PSG team. So for 80 million, I'm saying this one's a miss. On to centre-backs now, and at number 3 is Matthijs de Ligt to Juventus. for 85 million euros. Now, this was at a time when Ajax were absolutely fantastic. They had a great run in the Champions League and then kind of got gutted. Frankie de Jong went, Matthias de Ligt went for 85 million. And I don't think really he's ever lived up to that hype. He went to Bayern Munich after Juventus, is now at Manchester United. And whilst he's a good defender, he's performing well for Manchester United. 85 million euros, it's a miss for me. The second most expensive centre-back is Harry Maguire to Manchester United for 87 million euros. This seemed crazy at the time, and for a long time, Harry Maguire didn't perform for Manchester United at all. He's kind of performed in spurts, hasn't really had a consistent time at the top of the game. However, right now, I would say he's a very, very good defender, but not worth 87 million euros. So this one has to be a miss as well. And at number one, the most expensive centre-back of all time is Gvardiol to Manchester City for 90 million euros. Now, when he first came in, Pep was using him at left back, and he was absolutely fantastic. He kind of revolutionised that position because he's been known as a centre-back, and then he turned into this attacking left-back, and he was absolutely fantastic. More recently, he's been playing centre-back and has been just as good. Whether he's worth 90 million, it's yet to be seen because he is still very young. But this one for me is a hit at the moment. On to midfielders now, and I've split this into two parts. I've got centre midfielders and then I've got centre attacking midfielders. Very different positions. And at number 3, this is where the money starts racking up. We're getting over 100 million for number 3, and it's 116 million Caicedo to Chelsea. Now, at the beginning of this transfer, when it first happened, everybody thought that he was a massive flop. He didn't perform at all. But after a year or so, he has now turned in to one of the best centre midfielders, not only in the Premier League, but in the world. At number 2, it's exactly the same price, 116 million, Declan Rice from West Ham to Arsenal. Now, for me, this one is a massive hit. He is quite clearly one of the best centre midfielders in the world right now. And actually, 116 million euros looks somewhat cheap now. Given the instant impact that he's had at Arsenal, the leadership he brings, I think this one is a massive hit. And at number 1, costing Chelsea 121 million euros is Enzo Fernandez. Now again, when he first joined, this was seen as a massive, massive flop. He didn't perform to that level at all. And albeit he has got much better now, he's definitely still not worth the 121 million. So this one is a miss. On to centre attacking midfielders now. And number 3 is a very, very recent one. The summer just gone is Florian Wirtz to Liverpool for 125 million. Now, obviously, this one is very fresh, very new, so you can't really judge it too much. He is a very young footballer, and he has a lot of football to play to prove he's been worth that money. But right now, it has to go down as a flop. At number 2, 127 million euros, Jude Bellingham to Real Madrid. Such a huge fee for such a young player. And of course, this one is still pretty fresh. He's got so much time to prove that he is worth this. Right now, he probably hasn't been worth quite that, but he's still been fantastic for Real Madrid. He is a top footballer, and I have no doubt that this one will be a hit. And number 1 is Philippe Coutinho, 135 million euros to Barcelona. Without doubt, this one is a massive miss, a huge flop for Barcelona. Was not worth the money at all. An unbelievable footballer at Liverpool, but just couldn't replicate this in Barcelona. On to forwards now, and at right wing, we've got a bit of a forgotten transfer, a forgotten man, Nicolas Pepe to Arsenal for 80 million euros. This one probably goes down as the biggest, or at least one of the biggest flops in Premier League history in terms of transfers. He didn't do it at all in an Arsenal shirt and left pretty swiftly. At number 2, this one's pretty recent. You've got Anthony to Manchester United for 95 million euros. This one will be fresh in the minds of Manchester United fans. This one has been a huge flop so far. He is currently out on loan and has been performing well out on loan. But when he comes to Man United, he can't seem to make it work. And number 1, Gareth Bale to Real Madrid from Tottenham, 101 million euros. This one is undoubtedly a hit. The amount of trophies he won at Real Madrid, the amount of huge performances in Champions League finals, big moments. What a player, one of the best players the world has ever seen. On to left wingers now, and at number 3, it's Jack Grealish to Manchester City, 117 million euros. A huge fee that Man City paid to Aston Villa. And for the number of years he was there, the amount of trophies that he won whilst he was there, he probably has to go down as a hit. A very different player at Man City to what he was at Aston Villa, but a hit nevertheless. At number 2, it's Eden Hazard from Chelsea to Real Madrid for 120 million euros. This is one of the biggest flops that we will talk about in this video. He was so good at Chelsea, such a beautiful footballer, so talented, but he just couldn't make it work in Madrid. And at number 1, the most expensive left winger of all time and the most expensive player of all time by some distance, 222 million euros, Neymar from Barcelona to PSG. And believe it or not, this one was a hit. Neymar was unbelievable at Barcelona, but arguably he had his best years at PSG. He was absolutely sensational, one of the best footballers to ever grace this earth. On to strikers now, and another very, very recent one. Alexander Isak to Liverpool for 145 million euros in the summer just gone. So again, there's a lot of time for him to justify the transfer fee paid for him, but right now he hasn't done it at all. When he was fit, he wasn't performing particularly well, not the same as he was at Newcastle. Now he's injured. Who knows whether that'll be a hit, but at the moment it's a miss. At number 2, Ousmane Dembele, 148 million euros to Barcelona. He's now playing as a striker, but was originally bought as a winger. And he didn't have his best years in Barcelona at all. One of the most talented footballers around, can play with both feet, but he didn't make it work at Barcelona. Since moving to PSG, however, he has become one of the best in the world, winning the most recent Ballon d'Or. And at number 1, the most expensive striker in history, the second most expensive player in history, 180 million, Kylian Mbappe to PSG. Now this move was absolutely huge at the time. PSG was spending a lot of money trying to get that Champions League, and it didn't happen until much later. So whether he was a hit or not, I'd still say he was. He won them multiple trophies and was one of the best players, if not the best player in the world at times when he was at PSG. And that rounds out this one. Let me know in the comments who you think was the biggest waste of money, the biggest flop. But for now, make sure you're hitting like, make sure you're subscribing, and I will see you in the next one.